In order for us to really take ourselves out of the loop of addiction for anything, it is going to play a huge role into the person you are going to be in the future. Hey guys, welcome back to another You Got This podcast. Recently, I've been thinking about a lot of things, and me as a person, I guess when it comes to being the person I am today, I would say that I'm pretty grateful for things I went through. So, a topic today is going to be about how hardship shape us as the person we are now. I agree with that statement, but there's a deeper meaning behind this quote that we keep seeing on the internet. Hardships do in fact shape someone to where they are now, to where they want to go in the future. But it also leaves up to the person who's going through that struggle to choose the choices, lead themselves to a specific path. I mean, it's totally understandable how hard these hardships can be, especially when you're going through the path and it just gets pretty heavy at times. You just don't know where you're going. You're pretty much lost. Sometimes in life, we're gonna go through times where we're lost at a specific road, and the road is basically hazy and you just can't see where you're going. Having support or asking people advices that you can find. There's so many places you can go to, especially now, alhamdulillah. I am super grateful to be living in the modern world. The internet has saved me multiple times. I mean, using the internet for beneficial use is so, so important because you'll definitely meet a lot of people that also struggles the same thing, and maybe you guys can also ask advices from each other, or especially from those people who have succeeded in that area, the things that you want to achieve in life. You ask them, and you can actually get them to be your model, as in a role model that you can somehow follow through. Not follow through exactly. You still finding your own identity while getting advices from these people who are successful. A lot of people have this misconception of I wouldn't want to be a burden to anyone because my problem is my problem and I shouldn't ask advices or even ask someone to help. And I think there's a barrier to that. I mean, obviously, you don't depend on someone 100% on whatever you're struggling with. You obviously need to be there for yourself and build your internal self to actually support yourself. People don't realize that asking a person for advices can actually help you through a lot of things. As in, you got opinions from other people. It may not help in that situation. That's why you gotta find someone that is aligned with what you are trying to achieve in life, or the goal that you're trying to achieve. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's either physical or mentally or emotionally or spiritually, because as long as it's your goal and those successful people are aligned with that goal, you ask them for help and it will definitely be so useful along the way. You might not agree with them 100%, but you'll definitely find your own way of living once you start learning. You can gather all these successful people that have the same values, or have similar values or similar goals as you. You gather them and find a common thing that they do have. What do they do? What kind of habits do they do? What things they avoid doing? What things they focus on? And all that. Obviously, everyone's life problem is so different. I'm not saying that it's ever easy. I don't think any hardships are easy, but doesn't mean you can't go through it. The one thing is that we don't really realize sometimes our surroundings do impact us internally. Whether we notice it or not, it does. And that's the unfortunate truth. But it is also a fortunate truth. The thing about us is that sometimes when we're in a specific environment, we tend to adapt these normal habits that they do have. In fact, if they are bad people, then we'll definitely get these behaviors as well. Sometimes, though, if we do happen to be in a good environment with good people, amazing, warm hearted people, we tend to develop these habits as well. Sometimes you can't really avoid these people in real life. Of course, there are people, different types of people in real life, and there's definitely going to be people that you don't really agree with or get along with, but you'll meet them either ways because it's life, it's part of life. We'll see different peoples in life. You can definitely put a time limit on where you're consuming yourself in, as in the people you consume yourself with, the friend group that you have that don't really motivate you to be better or to be a better person, to be supportive of your goals or careers, those kind of things. If they're not those kind of people, then have that boundary where you set to yourself that these aren't the people that really support where I want to go. I can still be friends with them, but I'll put a time limit. What I was gonna say is that sometimes we're put in this road in life where we just don't know where we're going. The path is hazy and you're stuck there. You don't know what's in front or what's on the right. If there is even a road, we don't know that. So the thing is, though, having a person to actually talk to, or at least like get advices from, bear in mind these successful people who have gone through that situation before, they can see from another angle. So if you can see that this is the road that you go through and this is the person that you ask for advices, they can see another angle because they've went through that stage before. They saw the same elements that, or similar elements that they went through before. So they're like, okay, I can give you some advices in this because I went through this path before. So they can guide you from that. Even if they don't know what you're going through. There are times where they can actually help you out with it, navigate you towards where you should be because they went through the same thing or they went to similar experiences. Sometimes having to ask for help is really hard, but it's very useful and it's going to help you along the way. Just as long as you put this in your mind, it's okay to ask for help. And you also need to help yourself. If you're asking for help, if you're wanting help, but you're not letting yourself get helped, then it's going to be really hard because no one else can help you unless you accept the help that are given to you. Because sometimes we have these urge to ask people for help, and when they help us we kind of deny a lot of things and we're just like, no, it doesn't work that way, you don't understand or something like that. But I mean, it's a total normal human reaction towards something that you don't really agree with. Sit by yourself, just think about like, there are people who wants to help me, so I should let them help me, and I should let myself help myself in order to get through this. Sometimes when you're helping yourself to get helped, you're actually helping the person who's helping you too. And I feel like there are going to be multiple of paths that we're going to be going through that will lead us to somewhat nowhere, or we thought is nowhere, but there will always be another way, no matter what. Sometimes we feel stuck, we feel scared, and all that stuff, and it's totally natural. I think most humans do feel that way. Just letting you guys know that it's okay. It's okay to be scared, and it's okay to feel stuck. We just gotta find another way to get out of that loop of just being there. I am grateful for the hardships I went through. It's not an easy task. It's so hard, and sometimes I wish that it wasn't the path that I had to take. But I wouldn't be the person I am now if it weren't for those hardships that I went through. It's a very emotional topic for me because it's not an easy topic to talk about because I mean, everyone goes through life, and it's totally a normal thing. The one thing that I'm really grateful for is the hardships that I went through. It helped me find ways to keep going in hard times. And those hardships, those choices I make build me as a person, and I'm really grateful for that. It wasn't easy, it definitely wasn't, and I doubt that it's ever easy for you. When you find your own way, when you try your best to keep going, it doesn't matter how hard it is, there's always another way to get out of it. It really doesn't matter how long it takes. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes it takes weeks, months, or even years. It's totally normal. You work on your own pace. Just because some people reach to that goal before you did, just because someone else get through that goals faster than you, doesn't mean you're a failure. You're not a failure for taking your own pace in life. Although there are times where you just feel like you gotta move things fast. Sure, you can when you're in control of it. But if you're not, then some things in life you just can't control. You really can't. No matter how much we want to control our life, it won't go our way 100%. It might go our way sometimes, but life just throws at us something that we need. I heard this quote somewhere. It's about how there's always a lesson through every hardship. If we don't get the lesson, then the universe somehow has a way of giving us the same problems every single time in different forms. For example, if you have been betrayed and you haven't learned a specific pattern or a specific lesson in that field, then you will be betrayed in so many other ways. It doesn't have to be the same way as you first got betrayed, but you will definitely go through so many other betrayals, different types of betrayals, until you finally learn the lesson behind it. We gotta focus on building ourselves internally. Like, I know a lot of people care about their physical appearance. I do too. I think a lot of people do. But that is really not important as your internal self, your heart, your mind. One thing is that how we are as a person is based on what we consume. The food we consume, the songs we listen to, the podcasts we listen to, the contents that we watch, things you read is also important. It plays a huge role into a person that you are. You see, knowledge comes in different forms. And whether we like it or not, whatever we indulge ourselves in, it's gonna take us somewhere. It's gonna bring us a knowledge in our head subconsciously. Sometimes we don't realize it, but it's there. It's gonna be there. It's gonna be buried inside your brain. Let me put that in the specific perspective. For example, when you watch something, a video, it's a short video. You indulge yourself in it. You know, it's something that you enjoy watching. And somehow our brains pick up new information every time, right? By the things we see, we listen to, whatever that video is. It could be a good video or a bad video that has bad values in it, or like a good video with good values in it. It doesn't matter. We're constantly taking information from that. Sometimes we're not even focusing. These informations are like seeds. They're like plant seeds. And when it's planted in our brain, when we watch more videos of it, it's gonna grow. It's gonna keep growing and growing. And our enjoyment for that will be growing as well. It starts with what the things that we indulge in, our sensory experience, and then our brain, it starts picking up, it plants a seed, it grows, and sometimes it gets addictive. Whatever it is, doesn't matter what. Like, I personally like psychology, and I do love to indulge myself into these type of field. I'll go on hours and hours and watching these kind of videos. Sometimes I lose track of myself because I'm like, oh my god, no way. It's been this long that I've been watching. I've been watching 10 videos, and each video is like 1 hour. You know, like sometimes I just wake up and be like, oh my god, it's been a long time, whether we realize it or not. In order for us to really take ourselves out of the loop of addiction for anything, it's gonna be really hard. It's not easy. Any type of addiction, game addiction, food, movies, or things that aren't appropriate for you. So these are things that play a huge role, whether we know it or not. The things we read, the games we play, the movies we watch, the songs we listen to, the food we consume, it is going to play a huge role into the person you are gonna be in the future. It's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, and I totally get that. Just because you have these kind of addiction doesn't mean you can never take it out. Everything that we do, it starts from us. We need to be the one put a boundary to it. It's hard. It's hard. It's definitely really hard. It's never going to be easy. But when we try so hard to find ways that could help to prevent that, being surrounded by people who are successful in that field, watching movies that are beneficial for us, listen to music that motivates us to be a better person. If we do have like a support system maybe like a friend or family member or someone from online or things that you can find online that could actually motivate you towards your goal. These are your support system. And it's incredible because we live in a modern world. Obviously, there's negative things about the internet, and there is also positive things. How we use the internet is really important as well. What do you learn from the internet? Scrolling past through TikToks, reels, shorts that aren't very beneficial. You scroll through your FYPs and everything there is negative. So you're constantly gonna feel upset all the time. You're gonna feel like life is just horrible. Like your FYP is filled with like happy contents, motivating contents. You as a person, your focus is gonna be like exactly that. When I happen to be in a loop of like being in my grief or sadness, and all my FYP is filled with sad quotes, sad videos, so sad advices somehow, right? And it's totally normal. It's normal to have those kind of FYP, but obviously, I try to know where my limit is. I'll try to grieve as much as I can, but I need to know when to stop. And that's the hard thing. Self control is one thing. When it comes to self control over whatever I'm watching that is sad, that makes me sad, and I know that it's not really gonna make me happy by watching these kind of contents, as in sad movies or sad songs, then I try to limit myself in a way that I cut it out slowly. Sometimes I would have those times where I feel like I want to listen to sad songs. I want to watch something sad. And that's okay. But limit yourself from indulging into these kind of negative atmosphere because it does affect you in a way. Maybe it affects you slower than other people, but it still does affect you because it's like a building brick. When you consume something, that's going to be one building block. And then when you consume more of it, it's going to stack up and it's going to pile up. And when it's piling up, it takes over you, it overwhelms you, and it just makes you feel very down, very, very stuck at a certain place, right? So when you get overwhelmed, you get pretty anxious, and the brick starts to like shake. When it starts to shake, it drops. You just burst all out in different ways. And sometimes we don't realize that the things that we keep to ourselves, we don't let it out as in a healthy way. It's gonna get out in the most unhealthy ways. For example, if you have something that have been stuck in your chest for a very long time, like you kept it for a very, very long time, you had no one to talk to, you never wanted to open up, you never wrote it down in a journal, you never even asked for advices from people about all these things, it's going to build up on you. It's gonna fill that jug in your heart, and when it's filled, it's overflowing, you get overwhelmed, and you burst out in a very unhealthy manner, as in by anger or by silent treatment or by so many aggressive ways as well, whether we know it or not. These things are going to happen. It doesn't have to be now. Sometimes we keep things to ourselves and it builds up in us slowly over time. Sometimes it takes years. And then until that specific year, suddenly you just burst it all out. You cut everyone out, or you just get mad at everything, the smallest things in life. It's not the fact that you're mad at that smallest things. You're just overwhelmed with a lot of things. And it's totally natural to feel that way. But the thing is, though, when we realize that we're keeping a lot of things to ourselves, or we have burst out multiple times, or we have burst out in a way that we don't feel proud of, then that's some internal work that we need to do. And sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. How I see this quote when I go through stuff is that things might get worse, as in it's not that it's getting worse. It's more like you're in that spot, in that position where you're just struggling with a lot of things. And when you first step out of that zone that you have been comfortable for a very long time, even though it's like very toxic for you, when you try to step out, it's going to be hard because you have that attachment with you that you have for a very long time. You're just stuck there. You just can't go anywhere because it feels like an anchor that grabs onto your leg that you just can't move from that place. But I can guarantee you, even though the anchor is heavy, you can get out of it. It's gonna be really hard to move. It's gonna be painful, but it's not gonna be like that forever. When you move out of it, slowly, along the way, you'll find something that you can break those chains. When you move forward, you'll find more equipment to get rid of the anchor. Keep going. It gets better and better. That's the thing about self-growth. Relapses do happen, okay? So there's like a graph where it's like, it's never linear. Self-improvement is never linear. It's always gonna be up and down. Things are gonna get hard, but it will get better over time. These are the phase of the hardships. But then when you get to the end of the hardship, it's gonna be your whole life that you have these knowledge of, like, you have those skills that you build through your hardships. So the things that you go through in life, it's gonna be easier because you have been through that place before. And I'm not saying that you'll never struggle with the same thing. Maybe you'll have some similar things that you will go through. Maybe some relapses that happens along the way. You have all these resources that you have been gathering from the first time you have moved from that place. And when you do that, the next time you relapse, you have all these resources. It's going to be easier. Maybe it's not as easy, but at least you have all these knowledge. You have those things that you have learned. Maybe the things that you have done wrong in the process of it, you can avoid that. You can put that aside and then use the resources that are useful. And that's the thing. When you see it that way, it's like a whole experiment. To get out of a place, you gotta experiment yourself. Sometimes it's gonna be terrible. If you're fortunate enough, you will get it in the first step. But that's very rare in so many cases. Not many people will go through it so easily. Don't blame yourself for not going out of that phase easily, because it's life we're talking about. You're tougher than life. We all are. That's something that I really am grateful for, is knowing the fact that we are stronger than life. Life is hard, but we are stronger. So I'd like to say, whoever is struggling with any hardships right now and you feel stuck, or you feel like you don't know where to go, you're not alone. There will be times where you feel like that, and I've been in that position. I feel that sometimes, but that's okay. We're gonna move forward if we find different ways to handle it. Baby steps are still progress, okay? No matter how small the steps are, no matter how much effort you put in, is still progress. As long as you can keep going with the effort that you put in, sometimes it's gonna be 80% of your effort is gonna put into the journey that you're in. But sometimes, some days, you just don't have that much energy to put that much effort. Sometimes it's gonna be 5% of it, 10% of it, but you can do it. You can do it. No matter what. Okay, you got this. You got this, okay? Some things will get worse before it gets better. And I wish someone had told me that back then. I learned that through my hardship. So, yeah. So I really hope that you guys do enjoy this episode. If my explanation isn't as clear, please do ask me questions in the comment section. I would love to elaborate more on it if you ever have some misunderstandings on the things I say. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this podcast. I definitely see you guys on my next one. Just letting you know that you got this, okay? We got this, guys. You're not alone. And let's just do our best. Let's just keep going. All right. Thank you. And have a great day, guys. Bye. If you didn't know already, I made a podcast channel earlier, but I thought of moving the podcast to this channel instead. Though I'd like to thank you all for all the comments on my other channel. Love y'all.